Hey, sixth graders. We're going to talk about long division, okay? It's not as bad as it seems. I know you did this in fifth grade, but we're going to go through it again. Some of you did it with partial quotient, and in order to do decimals later, we can't do that. So we're going to do it in the traditional long division way, okay? So here's an easy way to remember it. These are the steps you do: divide, multiply, subtract, you check, and then bring down. And we'll go through that each one step by step. But if you think about divide starts with a D, does. So if you use the saying, does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers? And keep that in your head. That tells you the steps, because D would be does McDonald's, D is divide. McDonald's was M, then you multiply. Do they sell? Sell is subtract. Cheese is check, and burgers is B. Okay? So I'm going to kind of try to go a little bit slow through this so that we can do it together. So I need to go through all of these steps, and I repeat that until there's no more numbers to bring down. Now this is only if they go in evenly. That's not doing a decimal or a repeating decimal. So these will all go in evenly. How would I know this? Because I know my divisibility rules. All right, so would 6 go into 168 evenly? Let's see. The divisibility rule for 6 is it has to match the 2 and the 3 rule. The 2 rule is it ends in an even number. Yep, check. The 3 rule is I add these up. So 1 plus 6 is 7, 7 plus 8 is 15. 3 goes into 15, so 3 would go into 168. So it fits the 2 and the 3 rule, so I know it's going to go in evenly, okay? So when I do it, I have to go in evenly. So when I write it out, this is your divisor, that's your outside number. This is your dividend, this is the one inside. This is the one outside, okay? So I would have 6 goes into 168. You are literally going number by number, okay? Because it's going to mess you up if you try to do more than one thing at a time. I guarantee you, okay? All right, so let's do, I'm trying to find a color pen. Here we go. So we're going to go with, and I'm going to do it long ways. So you have to go, each one number you have to go above. Does 6 go into 1? I'm just going to say 1. It does not. So I'm going to put a 0 there. Okay, 0 times 6 is 0. You are only going one number at a time. Subtract. So my divide was, did 6 go into 1? I multiplied 0 times 6. I got 0. I'm going to subtract. I'm on my subtract step. My check step, this is really important. Your remainder has to be less than your divisor. So when we get to bigger numbers, if this number was bigger than this number, that means you didn't go in enough times here, okay? With a 0, it's hard to do, but that just means you didn't go in. So this is a really important step, this check. This has to be less than that. Then I'm going to bring down the 6, okay? Now, all I'm using these numbers for is to bring down. Does 6 go into 16? Not evenly, but it does go into it, right? How many 6s fit into 16? Well, 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 is too many, so I would say 2 times 2. This is my multiply step. 2 times 6 is 12. I'm going to subtract it. I get 4. I'm going to check, is 4 less than 6? Yes, so that means I'm doing well. Then I'm going to bring down my next number. Okay, and I'm going to say how many 6s go into 48. Well, 8 times 6 is 48, so my 8's going to go above here. You're always writing number above the number you bring down. 8 times 6 is 48. I have a 0 remainder. I am done. Okay, so 168 divided by 6 is equal to 28. Okay. All right, the second example we have, does 9 go into 846? Well, let's try the 9 rule. If I had 8 plus 4, I get 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. 9 does go into 18, so I know it's going to go in evenly. Okay, I'm going to say 9 goes into, I'm going to line up I probably should have left a little bit more room, but that's okay. I'm going to put 1 above each square. It'll help you to do this with graph paper. It always helps. Okay. All right. 9 doesn't go into 8. So I'm going to put a 0 there. I'm going to multiply 0 times 9. And I'm going to subtract. Okay? Now I could also say, does 9 go into 8? How many times does 9 go into 84? If I want to skip the 0 step, I would just leave that blank. But this, when you're first starting in long division, is a good idea. All right, now what you need to know is you can never go in more than 9 times. So this number cannot be bigger than a 9. If it is, you need to back up a number, okay? So I'm going to say, does 9 go into 84? Yeah, it does. 9 times 9 is 81. So 9 times 9, and I can't do 10. Okay, so 9 is the biggest I can do. 9 times 9 is 81. That's my multiply. I'm going to subtract. 3 is less than 9. I'm going to check. And I'm going to bring down the 6. And I start all over again. I repeat till I'm all out of numbers here. Does 9 go into 36? Yes, it does 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. And I get a 0 remainder. Okay? All right, we're going to do 3 more examples just so that you have them to go back to. All right, so this one is 3. And that's 225. Okay. Again, 3 doesn't go in. I'm going to show you how to do it without putting the 0, but you can only do it for the first one where you don't have to put a 0. So 3 doesn't go into 2. So if I went to 22, that means I got to start right here. So how many 3s would fit into 22? Well, 3 times 7 is 21. That's really close. Okay, I want to get as close as possible without going over. 3 times 8 is 24. So 24 wouldn't work. But let's say that I thought 6 for some reason. Let's say I did 6 and I said 6 times 3 is 18. And I subtracted and I got 4. This is where your check step is really important because this 4 is greater than this 3. That can't happen. That means that this number wasn't big enough. Okay, so that wasn't a 6. So I would just redo it, and I'm just going to redo it right next to it. 3 goes into 225. That's how I would know that, oh, I screwed up. That should have been a 7. So 7 times 3 is 21, and I'm way closer. I subtracted, I get 1. 1 is less than 3, so I'm in good shape. Bring down my next number. Remember, you're always over the number you bring down. How many 3s fit into 15? Well, it fits in 5 times evenly, so that's my divide step. My multiply is 5 times 3 is 15. My subtract, I get 0, and I'm done when I have a 0 remainder. Okay, so my answer is 75. All right, let's do this one. So 4 goes into 924. Again, my 4 rule, 4 goes into 24, so I know it goes into there evenly. So if I don't go in evenly, I know I did something wrong. So let's say 4 goes into 924. And remember, you're going one number at a time. 4 does go into 9, so you have to do that. So how many 4s would fit into 9? Well, 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 is too many, so it must be 2. Because my multiply would be 2 times 4 is 8. And I'm going to subtract. I get 1. 1 is less than 4, my check step. I'm going to bring down my 2. And then it's a new problem. I'm not even looking at that 4 yet. How many 4s go into 12 evenly? How many 4s would fit into 12? And this actually goes in evenly. It'd be 3. 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to subtract. I get a 0, but I'm not done. Okay? I said we're done when we have a 0 remainder, but we still have a number to bring down. So that number's got to come down. Plus, I have this hanging thing over here. I can't have a space hanging there. And then I'd say how many 4s would fit into 4? Well, that would be 1 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, and I get a 0 remainder. Now I'm done. Even though I get a 0 remainder there, I still had a number to bring down. All right, we'll do one more example. 6 into 726. So again, I'm only looking at the first number. If 6 goes into 7, I have to do that. So how many 6s fit into 7? Well, 1. 1 times 6 is 6. That's your multiply. Subtract. Okay. 1 is less than 6. You always have to check that. Bring down your 2. All right, then I start all over. Now my new problem is 12. I'm not looking at that 6 yet. 6 goes into 12 2 times. Remember, I'm over the 2 I brought down, so that has to be in that column. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract it. I get 0, but I still have a number to bring down. And I still have a place hanging there, and I can't just have this, okay? All right, so 6 goes into 6 once. 1 times 6 is 6, and I get 0. Okay, so that's kind of a crash course on long division. You really have to know your times tables 0 through 10 for any kind of math. That will help you always. So if you're a little iffy on your times tables, make sure you get around to memorizing them. And it will help you immensely in the long run. All right, you guys have a fantastic day.